All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Chandan, and I welcome you all to my channel. This is the 11th part of our TestNG tutorial series. Okay. And we are going to see how we can leverage Excel to provide data to one of our test methods using data provider. All right. So let's quickly start. All right. But before I start, I have a request to you that if you haven't seen the part number 8, 9, and 10, I would highly recommend you to watch those first, if you are a beginner. Else, if you are not a beginner and you are here to just brush up your concept, then you are more than welcome to continue ahead with me. Let me just show you the videos once. So this is my my channel, and within this you have to go to this playlist, go to fill playlist, and these are the videos that I'm talking about. So in this video, I have explained you what is parameters and what is parameterization, and how do we achieve parameterization using data provider in TestNG. And then I have explained you data provider with inheritance and without inheritance as well. So if you watch all these three videos, then I'm pretty sure that you're going to get a good understanding of data provider, and it will be much easier for you to understand what we are going to see today. All right, so let's quickly start now. So before we start, let me just quickly show you a quick demo of what we are going to see today. Okay, so let me just open this Excel. Okay, so if you see this Excel, okay, this is the workbook. Okay, we call workbook, and within this we have sheet 1, sheet 2, and sheet 3. Sheet 1 is the one where I have the data. Okay, now these data will be passed to my code to test my application. All right, and what are we going to test? Let me just show you. Okay, this is the same code that I have used in video number part number 10. All right, but I will just quickly tell you what it is. Let me just paste the link for the web application, and this is the web application, and this is just a login page where we have username and password, and if you put any incorrect username and password, it is going to give you an error. All right, and the error will contain this text as the error message will have this this message is invalid. All right, and that is what we are going to validate. So whenever we have incorrect combination of username and password, we are going to validate whether the error message has is invalid text in the message or not. All right, so let's quickly use the code that I have written that will read these data to test my application. So let me just quickly show you. Right click on the class, run as TestNG test, and let's see what happens. I will explain you each line of this code. All right, but you should know what we are going to see today. So this is what it is. Right, the Chrome has been invoked, the login page up, and you can see the execution has started. We have different set of data, and we are done. All right, so execution was done, and you can see that data provider has pulled up these data combination: first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So 5 set of data, and it was ran for 5 times, right? Run 5 times, and all of them have passed. See all greens there, each one of them, sign in was ran 5 times. So if you want to compare the data, then the first one is test user pass at date 1 to 3. Second is test user 1 pass at 1 to 4. Let me go to this data: test user pass 1 to 3, test user pass 1 to 4. So same data that we saw here. Okay, so this is what we are going to see. We are going to provide data for this test from our Excel using data provider. All right, using data provider. So let's get into our details now. Okay, so this is a plain Java based, basic Java program. Okay, it's not a Maven. I have just used a Java application, and the references that I have added is by default TestNG, because this is a TestNG tutorial. And other than that, I have Selenium references, and along with that I have Apache POI reference. Apache POI reference is they are the ones, they are responsible to help you with getting data, reading data or writing data from and to Excel from your methods. So let me just tell you how to add references, POI, how to download POI references and add it to your project. So let's go to Google. All you have to do is type three keywords here: Apache, POI, and or maybe just put it Apache POI, okay, POI, and go to this site poiapache.org. Click on that, and this is how the page looks like. Okay, click on download, and on the download page you will find the latest stable release is Apache POI 4.1.2. So click on that, available downloads, click on that, and within that you have to come to this binary distribution. All right, and click on zip one. Don't go for the tar.gz, go for the zip one. All right, so click on zip, I mean whatever you need. So I need zip, so I took zip, and within this it's just going to give you a link. All right, so you can use this mirror and click on that. Since I have already downloaded, I am not going to download it again, but I will show you how the downloaded folder looks like. Okay, so you just have to click this and it will download. It is around 39 MB or so. All right, so let me just show you the file. Right, just a minute, I may have to minimize everything. Cool. And the file is here. So this is the file that we downloaded, and if you see here, it has this folder. Okay, open this, and you have too many files in there, so you have to add these jar files. Okay, and then six jar files, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then you have this folder o xml lib. So open that, add these two as well, and then you have many more under lib library folder, these ones, right? So there are a lot. In fact, these are 12 to 14, and then 6 is around 20, right? So 20 jar files you have to add to your um, project. So if you don't know how to add it, so just right click on the project, go to build path, go to configure build path, go to libraries, add external jars, and you just go to that folder where you have downloaded the file. I mean, downloaded the folder, and just add all the libraries that you need. All right, so these are the libraries that we need: the Selenium libraries, all right, and the POI libraries, Apache POI libraries, and then we have the TestNG. Yeah, so these three are the ones which you have to add. So our setup is ready. Okay, and now within this as source folder, I have Excel data as my package, and within this I have two classes. So let me show you what is the first class all about. Now if you see, this is the same code that I have used in the last video. I have before test, where we are setting up everything, and then we have this test method where we are actually going to validate the username and password combination, and then right after test we are going to quit the browser, we are closing the browser. All right, and if I show you what are we doing in setup, so we have this before, so all the preconditions goes in any one of the before annotation. So I have kept it in before test. So within setup, I'm setting up the properties. This is how you set Chrome. All right, so this is the path where our Chrome driver resides, and this is the key for that. So this set property is in key value pair, and then driver is equals to new Chrome driver. This will invoke Chrome browser, and this is just for my my system, that is, I have multiple monitors, so you don't have to write this statement in order to achieve this. All right, so just ignore this line, and then I'm maximizing the Chrome browser, and then I'm setting a timeout for I'm using implicit wait for 10 seconds. That means if any of the element that I'm seeking, that my script is seeking, and that application is not visible or available to be acted upon within 10 seconds, then this line, Selenium script the driver will throw me an error. Okay, and then this is the timeout error and timeout for this run, and then I'm going to invoke launch the site. This is the same site that I show you, right, the login page. And after that, once my setup is done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to execute this is my test method, sorry. This is my test method. The name is sign in, and it accepts two parameter, username and password. And this is, we are fetching the element by using XPath, and we are sending keys. That means we are punching in the username that we will get from this particular parameter. That will be the argument. And similarly for password, and right after that we are going to click on login button. Okay, click event, and then we are capturing the message in the message variable. That means we are going to use get text for this particular element. All right, and then finally we are asserting the values. That means this particular message, the entire message that we see, has is invalid word in it or not, right? Is invalid exclamation. All right, and this is what it is doing, asserting. That's it. And right after, once all the test, once this, I mean, this test has been executed uh, with different set of data, we are going to close the browser. So this is what it is doing. Now if you know driver data provider, the data provider that we are using is Excel data. That's the name of the data provider, and the class where this data provider is being pulled from is, this is the class. All right, get Excel data. So let's go and check what we have in Excel data. So let's click on F3. So this will open me this class, get Excel data. All right, so if you see, we have a lot many import statement, and this is the code logic. I have to explain you each and every line, okay, else it will be very difficult for you to understand if you haven't used Excel before ever. All right, so so if you remember, the data provider name is Excel data. So this is the data provider that we have. Data provider name is Excel data, okay, and within this, the method name is Excel DP, the short form for data provider, and all it is, it is returning an 2D array object. All right, and the where are we getting the data from is this method, get Excel data, which is right here down below, and it is accepting, we are passing two arguments, that is the complete path of the file along with the file name where my data is residing, and we are telling which sheet it has to read the data from. So let me just open the sheet. This is the same sheet, and this is the sheet 1. All right, so this is the entire workbook. All right, and then within that workbook we are telling that this is the sheet where my data is. All right, so this is what it is, sheet 1. Cool. And right after fetching, we are we have the data in this reference variable, that is array arr obj, and we are returning that. Okay, so this is the return type of this data provider. Now let's see, what do we have, what is it that my data provider is pulling from Excel. All right, so as I mentioned that the get in this context, the get Excel data method is taking file name along with the file, I mean this is the file name with the with complete path. All right, and the sheet name, both are string type, right? All right, now within this, let's see, now we have the file name and the sheet name. Let's see what is happening next. So we are just creating an object reference, 2D array object. All right, 2D or object, yeah, object, and then we have workbook, which is nothing but an interface. If you hover on it, if you see, this is an I, so it is an interface. We are just initializing with null, and then let's see what happens. So far we have this two lines in the code, and let's see what is happening. So we are taking this file name in file input stream as file input stream. You will find this class whenever you want to deal with files. When you want to read or write a file, then you will end up using this class, right? Not always, but yes, input stream that itself says that you're going to use it to read and write the file. All right, so this is the this is a reference variable, and we are creating an object, and we are passing that particular file as an argument to this. All right, and then what we are going to do is, this is something interesting, I'll tell you. If you keep understanding of what is substring, then you will be able to understand. All right, so string, and we are creating a reference variable, file extension name. So what we are going to do is, we are going to take we're going to know what is the file extension of the file that we are using. All right, and why we are doing that, I'll explain you in a minute. So if you see this file name, testdata.xlsx, the extension is xlsx, right? And in order to fetch this particular information, this is the method that will fetch me this information. So file name, this is the entire file name. Within that, we are going to check the substring. Okay, now how we are going to get the substring? We are going to use index of method. All right, so file name dot index of, and the starting will be dot. So what does it mean? It means that get me the substring. All right, get me the string starting from dot, I mean following, and you're giving whatever you have given here. So what we have here is dot. So dot along with dot, give me the following text that we have. So this substring method will give these value dot xslx. Okay, and now we have xslx, right? For this particular file we have this. So it says that if my extension name equals .xsls, do this. Else, if it equals .xls, then do this. Now let's see what is the difference between this and this. All right. So if you know, before 2007, we used to have Excel file, and the file had the extension .xls. This is the old version of Excel, and after that Microsoft 2007, if I am correct, you have this xslx provide support as well. I mean, this is the new version of Excel. All right, so if I show you, just a minute, I have the file ready with me. Yeah, so these are the two different version of Excel. If you see, I don't know how small it is. All right, just a minute. If you see here, the first file has extension .xlsx, which just says type Microsoft Excel worksheet. And if you see this, which has the extension .xls, this has Microsoft Excel 97 to 2003 worksheet, 2003 worksheet as the type, right? So these are two different versions of Excel. Okay, and since people are still using .xls, there are a lot of applications which are still running on the older version of xls. So that's the reason why we have to add support for both of them. But you never know. I mean, if you are sure that the data file that you are going to use is of type only this, then you can get rid of if and else. All you can do is just copy this and paste it right after this. All right, but since I wanted to add support for most of the cases, so that's the reason why. We know that within Excel we have xslx and xls, so I have added both of them. All right, we have one more version which is CSV, but CSV itself is a different file altogether. We can use Microsoft Excel to open it, but you don't consider that as an Excel, but that is a CSV format file. All right, that's altogether a different file. So yeah, so what we are doing in this, so I'm saying that if my file has the extension .xls, then initiate this, I mean create an object of this class. All right, and the argument that we have is the file input stream, that is the file, right? So if .xlsx, go for this, okay, this class. And if it is .xls, then go for this class, right? And these both have implemented the method of interface. They have implemented this interface. The workbook is a interface and these are classes, right? So this is the only difference. So if you have this file, this will be created, this will be used. Else, if it is this file, then this will be used. Okay, so this is how we have initiated. And then we are going next. Sheet is again interface. Okay, and if you see here, what we are doing is we are going to get the sheet, which sheet we are going to use within that workbook. So this workbook, we know that what type of file we are going to we have now. So for this case, we have this file, so this will be used. And within that, we are going to tell the our code that this is the sheet that you have to use, sheet 1. All right, so let's go here, and we have specified the sheet name. And now we are going to tell that, hey, where should we start the row from? Where should we, I mean, where should I, the code is asking, where should I start to count the row from, right? So since we have the row all the way from the top, so this is row 0, row 1, row 2, row 3, and all, right? So row 0 is here. So that's the reason why we have specified in the code that, hey, sheet, get the rows from 0. So that means all the way from the top. All right, Now what you have to do is you have to get the number of rows that you have within that sheet, I mean within that data. So if you see here, the row starts from here and this is the number of rows, right? So let's go here and see. If you see, if we start from 1, then the total number of rows is 6. Okay, so let's get here. So it says number of rows, which is again integer. So within the sheet, get me the physical number of rows. That means the actual number of rows. So we have the rows as 6. All right. So this will get me 6 for this particular file. Okay, it can be any file. It can be your file. It can be any file that you want to use. All right. But for this particular sheet, it will give you 6. And this is the number of columns. That is, I mean, this method get last cell number will give you the number of columns. All right, so the number of columns is 1 2. All right, 1 2. So we have 6 as number of rows, 2 as number of columns. Now we are creating an reference of cell, which is again an interface. And then this data, if you remember, we have created the we created data as a reference variable of 2D object. And how we are initializing it is new object. And since this is an object, then you will have to pass the size of that. All right, so this is 2D object, just like a matrix, x into y. So this is your x, that is the number of, that is the rows, and this will be the column. All right, now if you see here, for this particular case, the number of rows is 6, right? But why are we why are we subtracting 1 from the number of rows? All right, so the reason is we have 6 data here, 6 rows here, but our data actually starts from second row, not the first one, because the first one is for our own reference. This is for us to know that this is a header and we are not going to use this as a part of our test execution. My test data starts from this row, that is 1 less. So total number of rows is 6, but actually my data is the total number of rows within my data is only 5, that is 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so that's the reason why we subtracted 1. We want to avoid the header to be read. In case you don't have header, then you don't have to perform this action. All right, so it's up to you. If you have header, it is always good to keep header, because the code may not know, the code is okay, I mean it doesn't need the header, but for you to understand what it is, you need header. Okay, so in this case we need to subtract 1. So object, new object, rows into columns. So the number of rows is 5 for this particular sheet, the number of columns is 2. All right, now this is something interesting, and this is the one of the most important part where I have to explain you. If you are from Java background, and if you already know Java and you have done a lot of string manipulation, and I don't remember what it is called, where you have to design some patterns, then you must be aware of this 2 4 statement, one after one inside another. All right, so let me just, before I explain you, let me quickly explain you what it is, right? So let me go to this sheet number 2. This is, I mean, we are not using sheet number 2, but this is just for the demo one. In an array, 2D array, if you see this test user, what is test user, what is the address for this user? Not the actual address, but in terms of array, this will be, I mean, these are rows. So rows 0, this is 0 again, and this will be 1. This will be 1 2 3 and 4. I'm just uh, I know that you guys might know, but in case you don't know, then I'm just going to tell you this. All right, I just want to cover everything so that you understand each bit. So if you see here, these are the number of rows, that is the rows starts from 0 0 1 2 3 4. All right, so 5 rows starting from 0, it will end at 4. And the column also starts from 0 0 and 1. So if you see this test user, what is the cell number? So the cell number is 0 0, that is like this, 0 0. So when I say 0 0, what is the value that we have in the array address 0 0? So that will be test user. And what do we have in 0 1? 0, that is 0 and 1. So the first one is raw, that is 0, and the second one is column, that is 1. All right, so 0 1 is pass @123. I hope that's clear. So 0 row has two values, okay? 0 as two columns, sorry, 0 and 1, and it has two values, test user and passed 1 2 3. So for each row we have column 1 and column 2. All right, so let's get into the code. Sorry. So if you see here, test user 3, so the address for this will be 3 and 0. That will be 3 comma 0. So this is the address for our array. So this is what we are going to do with respect to these data. All right, this is just a demo one. This is for this data. For test user it will be 1 and 0. Let's go here. So this for loop is for my row and this for loop is for my column. All right, so for each row we are going to run we are going to iterate through columns. All right, let me repeat here. For each row we are going to iterate through column, that is first column and second column. For each row, that is this, if you go for the first row, then first column, second row, first column, second column, third row, first column, second column. All right, so similarly, I mean, this is how we can achieve using code. So the first this is the row, so we have taken one variable int I. We started with 1. All right, and then which is going to satisfy the condition. You remember that number of rows we have is 6. All right, and I plus plus, I'm sorry, that will be the last statement. So now the value of I is 1, and within that, for each 1 we are going to perform another for loop, and we have initiated j. This j is for column. So the column is, it starts from 0, and that is it's less than number of columns, that is number of columns for this particular sheet is 2. So that satisfies us condition. So let's get in here. Row will be get row I, that will be get row 1. Okay, we are going to get row 1. And what is the column that we are getting? This is the column, that will be 0. All right, so my row number is 1 and j is my column number. So if I come here, row number is 1, right? This is the row number, and my column number is 0. That means test user. So column number is 0. Okay, now this is another interesting part here. So for 1 and 0, 1, let me just type it here, 1 and 0, what we are doing here is we are using switch statement. All right. All right, before I explain you this, let me just tell you something else. If you see here the data that we have, if you click on this test user, the type of this data is general. Similarly, pass 1 2 3, it's general. Similarly, for all the data that we have here, when you click on them individually, then you will find general. But yes, you have the option to change it to these formats. You can have it as number, you can have it as converted as currency, right? So Excel gives you that uh, option to do this. But in case, say for example, my password is not general, but my password is of type format number. All right, in that case, if you don't use these statement, then it will throw you an error. The reason is you are expecting the Excel will give you string, but I mean, you are only using this statement that whatever you have, get it in string format, right? But the Excel is giving you in number format, right? So there will be a mismatch and it will throw you an error. Okay, so that's the reason why, if you know Excel, then you know that if we have, if this is general and if this is an integer, then you have to use the, I mean, if the data that you're going to use is going to be used as an integer argument, then you have to handle it correctly, right? So so that's the reason why I've handled this cell type. Okay, so I'm going to get the cell type of that particular 1 and 0, right? That means the first one. So I'm going to the cell type is general, that means string. So it will go to this cell type, will give me this particular, for this cell 10, that will give me string. So it will come here and it will put the value for this location, data I is for this run, the first execution, I value is 1, so it will be 1 minus 1 is 0. So this is actually 0 and 0, the first one. Okay, so 0 and j is 0 again, so my 0 0, that means 0 0, it will be test user. So first time it will save test user. Okay, and second time when, okay, so this is done, it will break the, and it will come back to the second loop of for, because the for is still valid. J second, I mean j will be increased to 1 because it was 0, so j plus plus, it will make j is 1, and 1 is still less than 2. Okay, so it will come here again, and this time it will be the value of I has not increased, we are still in the for loop of j, that means the column, so the value of this will go to 1, so 1 and 1. Okay, so let's come here, and again this time, since this is uh, again a general, okay, this is a number, but in case this is a number, then this will go to this statement and it will give you an integer value, right? This is a number, so I am expecting an integer value. Okay, but right now let's not make it integer, but I just wanted to show you that, in case we have such scenario, then it will go to the numeric one, that is this one. So for 1 and 1 you will get this value, but right now I've made it general, so it will still go to the first statement under switch. So again, for 1 and 1 we are going to get this one, right? So this is 1 and 1. This is sorry, 0 and, I'm sorry, yeah, I mean this is right, I'm sorry. For this case, actually, since we are skipping the headers, so this will be 1 0 and this will be 1 1. All right, so we read this and this, they both have been saved to data. Similarly, once similarly j will increase, that will be increased to 2, and then this time it will fail because this is less than 2, 2 is not less than 2, right? So we'll come out of the inner loop, that is the loop for the column, and this will be the, we'll come back to the first loop. So this time I will be increase to 2, so this will go to column 2, and similarly this row and this row, I mean this entire row will be read and it will be put in under data. Okay, so all this data will be read, okay, all of them will be read, and it will be returned return as a part of this method, right? So it is returning data which has all the data that we have in this Excel. Okay, sorry, I don't know. Okay, you can get rid of this. Right click, sorry, right click, remove hyperlinks. Cool. Let me just save it. Okay, so come back to this, and so now we have all the data. In case we have any exception, that then it will be caught here. It will print the exception, and then it will return the data. So now you saw that we have all the data read from the Excel that we have supplied as a part of our execution, right? And then data provider has, now this is the same method that we have called. This method has given the data provider all the data that we have in the Excel, and this data provider will give the data, supply the data to this test method sign in, and that is why it was ran 5 times. The reason is we have 5 set of data one after the other, right? And this is how you read the data from Excel and use it for your execution. So I guess I have covered everything, and I'm just wondering if I have missed anything. Just a minute. Right. So I just realized that I can show you something else as well. If you remember, we used xlsx to test to test our data as a part of test our test as a part of the demo. So since we have handled both type of data Excel sheet, so we are just going to see if it works with xls as well. So this is my folder where my it is residing in cxl, and this is where this is my xls data. So if I just open it, I'll show you. Just a minute. All right, so just a minute. Okay, yeah, so if you see here, this is test data xls.xls. This is the same data that we have. All right, so they both are same actual exact replica of each other, but just that the extension are different. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just press F2, copy the entire file name. I'm going to replace it here, Control V and Control S, right? I've just changed the name of the file, okay? And I'm going to run it. Run as, you can use, TestNG XML file as well, okay? But sure, it's up to you. I mean, I find it this handy compared to XLS files. I mean, XML file, sorry. So let's see if it works. All right, so it has launched the browser and cool. First done, second successful, third successful, fourth successful, fifth successful, and done. So 5 test cases were executed, and if you see here, it even prints the data that we use. It has used all the data again, and these are the execution, no error, nothing, all green. So and sign in was executed 5 times with these data, and these data are nowhere in the code, but the data is residing in my Excel. All right, so we have seen multiple we have seen how to read data from Excel, 2 different type of Excels, and I've explained you the code, all right, as well. So keep practicing, guys, I would say. And just in case you are beginner and you're just trying it for the first time, just read line by line, understand. I have explained you each and every line. Use this code and let me know if you have any issue, any doubt, any problem you face while executing them. I'll be more than happy to help you with my experience. And let's see if you have any comment. Just drop it down in the comment box, and I'll be more than happy to help you out with. So till then, you have a good time ahead, and let's meet in the next video. Yeah, bye bye.